From NBA star Shaun Kemp losing over 90% of his $91 million fortune, to Latrell Sprewell rejecting $21 million and ending up with almost nothing. These are the stories that prove how the smallest wrong decisions can take away the biggest luxuries. In this video, we're counting down 10 NBA players who went from earning millions in contracts to working normal jobs, some through bad decisions, others through uncontrolled circumstances. Now, without further ado, let's get to it. Antoine Walker. This athlete went from growing up in a single-parent household in Chicago to becoming a college champion and three-time NBA star, only to lose $108 million in less time than it took to earn it. This is the story of Antoine Walker, beginning from Mount Carmel High School, where he played alongside the future NFL quarterback Donovan McNabb. From there, Walker went under coach Rick Pitino to the University of Kentucky, where he helped the Wildcats win the 1996 NCAA championship. He declared for the draft that same year and was selected 6th overall by the Boston Celtics. His rookie season set the tone at 17.5 points and 9 rebounds each game. In 2006, he got a championship ring with the Miami Heat, and at 21 years old, he had signed a 6-year extension worth over $70 million. By all measures, Antoine Walker had a secure future, and nothing could possibly go wrong at this point. But having no framework for managing what he had, Walker began writing million-dollar checks to casinos and extended his wealth to supporting a large entourage of friends and family. From luxury cars, jewelry, and the most expensive properties, Antoine Walker had it all. But things quickly got out of hand when the Great Recession hit. All his real estate investments quickly collapsed with nothing solid to absorb the blow. By May 2010, he filed for bankruptcy with over $12 million in debts and less than $5 million in assets. To avoid dealing with bigger legal issues down the road, Walker had to surrender the 15,000-square-foot home he had built for his mother, along with his championship ring. Thanks to the many other difficult financial decisions advised by his mother, he was debt-free 3 years later by August 2013. Today, he works as a financial literacy consultant. His job is simple: educate young athletes on budgeting, taxes, and the realities of life after sports. And though he has spoken many times about his mistakes, the next big fall was caused by something far more devastating: Eddy Curry. We continue with the unique story of an athlete who grew up in the old suburbs south of Chicago. Though he never picked up a basketball until 7th grade, fast forward 7 years later, and we have the Chicago Bulls selecting him 4th in the 2001 draft. This led to over $75 million in total earnings across 11 seasons. Despite this, Eddy Curry lost all assets right in the middle of his career, primarily due to ever-increasing debt and lavish spending habits. But the reasons don't stop there, and to understand them, meet the much younger Eddy Curry. Standing at 7 feet with soft hands and natural scoring instincts. After making an impression so good that he became known as Baby Shaq, Eddy Curry got an all-rookie first-team selection in 2002 and would go on to lead the NBA in field goal percentage by the following season. By 2007, he was averaging at 19.6 points per game for the New York Knicks. Curry pulled this off under a $56 million contract set for 6 years before winning an NBA championship ring with the Miami Heat in 2012. In over 11 seasons, he earned over $75 million in total. Then the bills arrived as court documents that almost destroyed his career, and the undisclosed financial records went viral. While still under contract with the Knicks, Curry was spending over $1,000 a month on cable and satellite TV, $6,000 a month on a personal chef, and $17,000 a month on family expenses. It didn't take long for debts to start piling up, so much so that he reportedly asked the Knicks for an $8 million advance on his $9 million salary just to make ends meet. After retiring in 2013, he got a job as a financial consultant, using his story as a lesson for NBA players new to the game. Today, he has 7 children and still stays connected to the basketball community through his regular job, painting a picture less tragic than what we're about to show you. Shaun Kemp. This man's story begins in 1989 as a teenager from Indiana, about to spend the next decade becoming one of the best players the NBA had ever seen. But by the 9th year, He had warned over $90 million only to watch most of it disappear. This point in his career where it gets interesting, as unlike most people who got a shot at the NBA, Kemp never played a single college game. Thanks to his outstanding performance at the game, the Seattle Supersonics chose him as 17th overall, straight out of high school. This decision paid off all through the 90s, making him the engine of the Supersonics team that reached the 1996 NBA Finals. In less than 8 years, he had 6 consecutive appearances alongside point guard Gary Payton, and when the Cleveland Cavaliers called with a near $100 million contract, it seemed Shaun Kemp's financial future was untouchable. But the reality was very different. At the time, Kemp now had at least 7 children with 6 different mothers that demanded huge sums for child support even after his final game. Obligations that would spell doom later on. The Reebok sponsorship that could have saved him from debt had quickly become a legal battle that ended with him having to pay millions in settlement. Oscar's Kitchen, the biggest investment that should have been his livelihood after retirement, closed in 2015, and in 2008, the rising legal fees had made him file for bankruptcy. His net worth that exceeded $91 million had now shrunk by over 95%, bringing his total net worth to $150,000. By 2023, Kemp pleaded guilty to an assault charge and was forced to serve 30 days stuck at home, 1 year of state supervision and 240 hours of community service. As of today, his only stable source of income is a 5% stake in a Seattle drug dispensary with his name on it, and he finds personal fulfillment by keeping busy with local delivery jobs and joining in volunteer work. But while Kemp lost everything slowly, the loss of our next athlete was caused by injuries, losses, tragedies, mental illnesses, and major betrayal. Darius Miles. Darius Miles said in an interview that he grew up in the old streets of East St. Louis, Illinois. He lived in a dangerous, forgotten neighborhood, the kind where every street was riddled with crime, illegal substances, and weapons. With the few skills Miles had at the time, basketball seemed to be his only way out of the streets. So when the opportunity came to show his skills, he took it with everything he had. Thanks to his outstanding play, Darius Miles ranked 3rd overall by the Los Angeles Clippers at just 18 years old, becoming the highest drafted high school player at the time. Before he was old enough to get a drink, he had scored a huge Nike endorsement deal worth millions, plus the added bonus of a luxury car waiting for him at the airport, with a personal driver holding a sign bearing his name at the front. Miles also played for the Cleveland Cavaliers, Portland Trail Blazers, and Memphis Grizzlies across 8 seasons with a total salary approaching $70 million. Everything seemed to be going just fine until the dreaded 2005, when a sudden right knee injury caused major problems in the middle of the season. To fix this, he underwent microfracture surgery that resulted in him missing 2 entire seasons. Miles was 27 years old when he played his last big game, and the rest only went downhill from there. Unlike most NBA players who went broke in wild living, Miles loved spending money, but only within his means. He wrote one time that it takes a lot to go broke from just buying cars once in a while. Rather, what made him go broke were the shady business deals he fell for, starting with the real estate deal that made him lose $100,000 in 2008. That was just the start, as just a few months later, he became entangled in a real estate investment that got him sued multiple times. He also owed $282,000 to the IRS, $20,000 in unpaid child support, and quickly fell into depression after his mother passed away from cancer, following years of endless pain. By September 2016, he filed for bankruptcy with just $460,000 he had against $1.6 million in debts and obligations. At 34, he auctioned off everything he had to pay lingering creditors, from old jewelry to licensed firearms, DVDs, and video games. Miles sold as many things as he could in the hopes of going debt-free. By February 2019, he started co-hosting a podcast with his former teammate and childhood friend Quentin Richardson. In each episode, he turned his story into something useful, a take on what happens when a young man is handed the world on a platter with no roadmap to use. As of March 2026, reports say he works a regular job at a local shop in Illinois. Miles admits that while the pay is nowhere close to his lowest at the NBA, he has finally found the peace he's been searching for since he was a child growing in those dangerous streets. But while Miles lost his money to those he trusted and eventually found meaning, what happens if the person struggles to find any source of income afterwards? Glenn Rice. This athlete grew up in Flint, Michigan at a time where the water ran brown and opportunities ran thin. But Glenn Rice had talent that shone the brightest on a basketball court, specifically at the University of Michigan. There, he became the school's all-time leading scorer with well over 2,400 points. His big moment came in March 1989, where he put on one of the greatest individual performances in NCAA tournament history, scoring a record 184 points across 6 games, a record that has never been broken in that location to this day. That run delivered Michigan its first national championship and sent Rice's accomplishments into another level entirely. That same year, the Miami Heat selected him 4th overall, and what followed was 15 seasons of professional basketball across 6 teams including the Heat, Charlotte Hornets, Los Angeles Lakers, New York Knicks, Houston Rockets, and Los Angeles Clippers. He also got 3 All-Star selections, a 1997 All-Star Game MVP award after scoring 20 points in a single quarter, and a 2000 NBA championship ring alongside Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. By the time it was over, Glenn Rice had earned approximately $68 million. Then retirement came, and the money started disappearing faster than planned. As we'll see, the cause was just as shocking as the outcome. A close legal investigation later showed that Rice had made a string of bad investments throughout his career with 0 returns in the long run. Because of this, the savings he had built across 15 years eroded quietly and steadily until there was almost nothing left. By late September 2016, Glenn Rice was in a Miami-Dade County courtroom asking a judge to lower his monthly child support payments from $1,500 to something more manageable. During this time, Rice had tried to find meaningful work in several different areas and had simply been unable to earn any real income. He was living off autograph signings and basketball training camps. Steadily but surely, the former basketball star began to find his footing, and today, he works as a scout and community ambassador for the Miami Heat, the same franchise that gave him his start back in 1989. Both of his sons went on to become professional basketball players, turning his story from a tale of steady losses to one of slowly hopeful redemption. But our next case is beyond tragic. Gregory Oden. This stands as one of the most tragic what-if scenarios in NBA history. He was seen by fans and critics as the most anticipated big man to enter the NBA in his generation, but severe physical limitations brought his career to an end at age 24. Standing at over 7 feet tall, but with tremendous agility, and a frame that seemed built for the game exclusively, Oden needed only 1 season at Ohio State University to announce himself to the world. As a freshman in 2007, he was able to lead the Buckeyes to the NCAA championship alongside Mike Conley Jr. The Portland Trail Blazers chose him 1st overall in the NBA draft over Kevin Durant. This was the logical choice based on the numbers alone. But the next big event was what changed everything for the young Gregory Oden. One sudden collapse in the middle of a major game revealed that the knee injuries that began during his rookie season never fully healed as he thought, and the more severe injuries started to come up from there. What came after was 6 years of surgeries, recoveries, and returns that never lasted. In those 6 years, Greg Oden was only able to play 105 games as opposed to what's expected of a single season. Even with the long breaks and strict obedience to medical rules, the physical toll was almost unbreakable. The worst point in his career was when doing mundane things every day like walking downstairs or riding a bike felt very excruciating. In those 6 years, he was able to earn $24 million, and the gap between what he earned and his potential income at full form increased each year. All this happened while Kevin Durant, the man selected second to Oden in the same draft, went on to win 2 NBA championships, 2 Finals MVP awards, and cement himself as one of the NBA's greatest scorers for the time. When Oden accepted that his body could no longer sustain his professional career, he went back to Ohio to find another job that could still keep him connected to the love of basketball. He enrolled at a school and earned a degree that landed him a job in the sports industry as an athlete advisor for EduCore Sports and Entertainment. There he worked with younger players dealing with similar issues he had, helping them navigate the mental distress and physical limitations he dealt with at the NBA. But while this one involved physical limitations beyond the person's control, the next story is on someone who had every opportunity but made all the wrong choices. Kenny Anderson. This athlete grew up in Queens as one of the most talented point guards in his city, but spent the better part of 2 decades watching everything he built crumble with every ill-advised decision made with his money. Kenny Anderson's talent was obvious long before he went professional. After his high school run, he played 1 season at Georgia Tech where his skills at ball handling and scoring made him the most attractive prospect at the time. In 1991, the New Jersey Nets selected him 2nd overall and got rewarded with 14 seasons where he averaged over 17 points and 9 assists in each game. Those numbers placed him among the top guards of his era, and over his career he earned over $62 million. It was a solid foundation for a stable future, but his several legal obligations made sure the money couldn't last. At the time, it was confirmed that Kenny Anderson had at least 6 children from 5 different women, and the child support obligations only accumulated after he had already received his final paycheck from the NBA. On top of that, there were many legal pressures coming from multiple DUI arrests. From hefty fines to legal fees, his name was everywhere. Coupled with spending decisions, even in the midst of retirement, Anderson had to file for bankruptcy in 2006. $63 million earned and none of it remaining. Soon enough, he returned to basketball as a college coach in Nashville, Tennessee. And though the salary has nothing in common to what he got as an NBA starter, it keeps him fed and connected to the game he loved and grew up with. The results from his coaching career show his genuine experience across 14 professional seasons, as many promising stars from that location owe their best performances to him. But not every fortune crumbles through bad choices. Sometimes the game itself is what takes everything from you. And if you doubt it, just ask the next man on our list. Larry Johnson. This man's career reflects what happens when hard work and discipline meets natural limitations, obligations, and disabilities. It is a masterclass of what happens when success brings in responsibilities that outlast the biggest fortunes. This is the rise and fall of Larry Johnson. He was born in Texas and grew up in Dallas to become one of the most dominant power forwards of his generation. He earned over $84 million in the NBA, but ended bankrupt in 2015 with over $120,000 of unpaid child support. So how did he get there? Starting with his plays at Odessa College, he became the first and only player to win the National Junior College Athletic Association Division I Player of the Year award in the 2 years he played. After that, he transferred to UNLV where he helped the Running Rebels with the 1990 NCAA Championship with 22 points and 11 rebounds in a 103-73 demolition of Duke in the major title game. Thanks to this, he was selected as the best in 1991, and his rookie season produced 19.2 points and 11 rebounds in each game along with the NBA Rookie of the Year award. Larry Johnson's best season came the following year where he averaged 22.1 points each game with a shooting rate of 52.6%. On top of that, the famous Converse Grandmama commercials got him even more popular, making Johnson one of the most easily recognizable athletes in America. And then came the life-changing back injury during the 1994 season that cost Johnson at least 31 games. After recovering, he lost form in subsequent matches and was traded to the New York Knicks in 1996. For the 5 years he stayed there, Larry performed as a shell of his former self with declining stats until his chronic back problems made it impossible to play. His final season produced the lowest results in his entire career, averaging at just 9.9 points in each game. But his troubles were far from over. Now, at 32 years old, he had 5 children with 4 different women, with child support obligations being the main cause of his financial crises, and by 2015, he filed for bankruptcy in a California court. One former partner refused to let him off the hook, forcing Johnson to give him the $1 million home in Aliso Viejo while paying $55,000 over time to get it back. Since then, he has stayed connected to basketball through media appearances and community activism. He helped teams organize youth camps and outreach programs before getting inducted into the College Basketball Hall of Fame. Allen Iverson. Allen grew up in a household where money was never guaranteed and stability was never promised. The streets of Hampton, Virginia shaped him early, and basketball gave him the only exit he could see. He took it all the way to the top. Selected first overall by the Philadelphia 76ers in the 1996 NBA draft, Iverson became one of the most electrifying players the league had ever seen. We're talking about 11 All-Star appearances, an MVP award in 2001, a lifetime Reebok deal worth $800,000 a year, plus a $32 million trust fund locked until he turns 55. By the time Iverson's 14-year career ended in 2010, he had earned approximately over $153 million in salary alone. Yet, just 2 years later, he filed for bankruptcy. How did this happen? Reports show that the collapse was not built on one bad deal or one bad investment. It was built on a word Iverson later admitted he simply did not have in his vocabulary: his inability to say no. At his peak, he was financially supporting up to 50 people. All it took was one short conversation to get him to give a teammate his Bentley. Viral reports still tell about how Iverson once forgot where he parked his car at an airport and simply drove to the dealership and bought a new one. In 2012, a Georgia judge ordered Iverson to pay $800,000 to a jeweler he owed while he was still broke. He couldn't pay it back, and during the divorce proceedings that happened later that same year, Iverson famously told his wife he didn't even have enough money to buy a regular burger. Fast forward 14 years later, Allen Iverson is now employed by Shaquille O'Neal as assistant manager of basketball at Reebok. Now, to number 1, Latrell Sprewell. At the very top, we have the shortest yet most fascinating story of Latrell Sprewell. He earned $97 million over 13 NBA seasons, made 4 All-Star teams, and helped the New York Knicks reach the 1999 NBA Finals before throwing it all away with one sentence. In October 2004, the Minnesota Timberwolves offered him a 3-year, $21 million extension at a time when he was already earning $14.6 million that season. Without advice from his lawyers or consultants, Sprewell turned it down, saying he had a family to feed. To his surprise, no team ever called again for a deal, and after 3 years, his 70-foot yacht was seized and auctioned for $856,000. His home and his $2.3 million New York mansion were both foreclosed as well. On top of that, he owed Wisconsin $3.5 million in back taxes. The mother of 4 of Sprewell's children sued him for $200 million. His total net worth today sits at just over $100,000, marking a 99% collapse from where he started. Which of these cases stood out to you? Is there anyone we've missed? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now click on the next video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.